3 rounds, 3 minutes, 3 fights.
Unbeaten fighters and major performers. I can't tell you how excited I am about this.
Hey Fight fans, it's Michelle Joy Phelps with Behind the Gloves in association with Fresco Box, and I'm joined now with none other than Carl Frampton. Carl, it's nice to see you again. Last time I saw you, I think I ran into you at the airport.
That's right. That's right. Aye, Gatwick, was it? In London?
Was it Gatwick? No, it was Heathrow.
No, it was Heathrow. I know it was London.
Saw you scoping out the Rolexes.
I was having a look. Didn't buy anything. I was just looking.
Well, you got a big fight coming up. Nonito Donaire. April the 21st, next weekend in Belfast. You'll be returning in front of your home country. How does it feel to be able to fight in front of them again?
It's great. So my last fight against Garcia obviously was back home as well, and before that I hadn't boxed at home in about 2.5 years, and I missed the atmosphere. You know, I done quite well, and I travelled the world, and you know, I fought in the States a couple of times in that time period. I fought in Manchester, which kind of felt like Belfast with the crowd that we brought over, but there's nothing like a Belfast atmosphere. It's hard to compete with anywhere in the world, and I loved it the last time. I think this is a bigger fight. It's going to be even better, and I can't wait to get going now.
I've never been to a fight in Ireland, but my God, I've seen it on TV.
Yeah.
They really know how to cheer on their man.
They just get behind the local sports people. It's like, you know, as long as you don't get too big for your boots, the people will always support you. And it's not just with boxing. I think it's with all sports. If you look at what's going on with the Northern Ireland football team at the minute, and the atmosphere is created at Windsor Park, and all other sports, they just back their own people, and that's it. That's all that's going on, really. I think that maybe some other boxers would have a more privileged feeling if they were getting the support that I get. I know I'm one of the best supported fighters in the world, not just in the UK, but in the world, and I'm very proud of it.
Speaking of not getting too big for your boots, how do you manage to remain being humble when, as you said, it's sort of easy, right, to kind of get ahead of yourself when you have such a massive support system?
I don't know. I don't know. I think if you get carried away with things, and you've seen it in the past, that certain parts of the world can deal with athletes being in certain ways, but I know what I was like, and I hated flash athletes when I was a kid growing up. Like, for example, Nassim Hamed, when I was a kid, hated him just because he was so flash, but I love him now. I can appreciate everything he does, and I appreciate his style, and what a fighter. But just back then, I just didn't like flashness and arrogance, I suppose, a bit. So I never liked it, and I know the people from back home don't like it. So look, I'm just being myself, that's all. I don't think my wife would let me get too big-headed anyway, so, and the people close to me wouldn't either, so that's it, really.
Now let's go back to your last fight against Garcia. You said that it was an okay performance. Now we know you only had 7 weeks to prepare, so it wasn't a standard camp for you. But is there anything else in particular that you look back on, you said, yeah, I have to fix that?
Yeah, there's things. I think that obviously I got tired in that fight, but again, it was a short camp in terms of, I normally have at least a 12-week camp, so we were 5 weeks away from a perfect camp for me. I was in Vegas and stuff before it, doing what you do in Vegas, and it was just a short camp. So, but I won the fight. I think that, all things considering, with everything that's going on in the background, you know, a complete overhaul in a team, new trainers, a new MTK are helping me out, and a new advisory capacity. You've got Frank Warren and a new channel. Everything was new. And obviously there's other things going on as well, pending court cases, for example. So it probably wasn't ideal, but I got the job done. And I think if you look at what I was doing in the first sort of 4 rounds, some of the best stuff I've done in a ring. I controlled the fight, and it was just a big lump. Garcia, he kept coming, and I hit him with some big shots, and he kind of just, you know, shook them off and walked forward, and I got tired, and that's it. But I stuck it out, dug it out, won the fight, and I know I'll need to be better against Donaire.
We know boxing isn't just a physical sport, it's also a mental one. You got to have this right. How are you now? Where are you at now?
I feel good, and that's a question I've been asked a lot recently, but I genuinely feel the happiest now, happier than I've ever felt as a boxer. I'm talking about, you go back to being a kid when you really love the sport, and I haven't felt this good. I don't know in how long, since it was maybe 11, 12 years old, when you don't have any cares, you don't have any worries, and you can just go and hit a bag and spar. I genuinely feel like I wish I had been involved with a setup that I'm with now, you know, for a number of years, and I'm just happy, and there's good camaraderie in the gym, and people, we all bounce off each other, and it's the only time as a professional I get up in the morning, I have a cup of coffee and a bit of breakfast, and I look forward to going to the gym. It's never been like that before, so you know, I know I'm no spring chicken anymore, but you know, it's better late than never.
You know what's crazy is this year, for some reason, a lot of fighters, when I'm interviewing them, they're like, I don't know, you know, I just found my passion again for boxing. It's like something's in the air. You guys are all just finding this love for the sport again.
I don't know what it is. I think for me, I don't want to speak for anyone else, but I think it was just a change. And you know, being around Jamie and Nigel Travis and some big characters in this gym, real big characters. And I think relocating to Manchester is better for me than London was. London's a place for me, it's the big smoke, you know, and everything's rushed. It's always rushed. People are, to be honest, you know, you go around the tube stations and you're travelling back and forward on tubes, and people are ignorant. They're pushing you around, and no one has time for anyone. But Manchester's a little bit more like home, Belfast for me, and I just feel comfortable here.
Well, you have a big fight coming up. I mean, it's for the WBO interim featherweight title, which will then secure you a spot against the WBO champion, Oscar Valdez. What does this opportunity mean for you?
It means a lot, and that's all it is. It's pretty much a final eliminator with a belt on the line, so it's always nice to win a belt. You know, they look nice on your mantelpiece or in a cabinet somewhere, but you know, fighters in the past have called themselves world champions after winning an interim title. I know what this is. I'm not going to call myself a world champion, and I won't feel like a world champion until I beat an Oscar Valdez or a Leo Santa Cruz or a Selby or Warrington, whoever comes out in that fight, or Gary Russell and Jojo Diaz. But this is just giving me the option, and people have talked about Selby, Warrington, and that, obviously being linked with the same team, that fight can happen. But it's just another option. If Valdez recovers from the jaw injury he had against Quigg, I think that fight is probably a bit more appealing to me than a Selby Warrington fight. I think just it captures the boxing public in a worldwide sense. It's a much bigger fight than me versus Selby or Warrington, I think.
Nonito Donaire, like yourself, is a former world champion, tough opponent. This is going to be a really tough fight for you. How would you rate him? By studying tape and whatnot, what would you rate him? He's
a very good fighter. I think that in terms of accolades in the ring, he's accomplished more than anyone I've ever fought. And that includes guys like Santa Cruz. He's a 4-weight world champion. I think he was as high as number 3 in the pound for pound rankings at one point. Very good fighter, very slick. One of the best knockout reels I've ever seen. You know, when he knocks people out, he puts them to sleep, and you know, legs twitching and stuff on the ground. So he's a dangerous fighter, and that's something that excites me, but it makes me nervous as well. And I think the nerves that I'm going into the fight with is a good thing, because if you can control them, which I believe I can, then I can use them to my advantage, and I think I'll be switched on from start to finish. and I have to be, because Donaire is a very good fighter. But I just think we've been linked for a long time now. When I was champion in 2014 super bantamweight, and he was a champion, they were talking about the fight then, but I believe then I could beat him, and I believe even more so now. And this frame of mind and how I'm feeling, I think that I win the fight and I win it in style.
Now I see it that online on social media. You kind of you go through a lot of abuse from the trolls, we'd say. After you lost to Leo Santa Cruz on the rematch, it seemed like people were saying, like, you should retire, you should do this, you should do that. How do you handle all that? Because it's not easy to hear that. I mean, it's just one loss. I mean, give me a break.
Yeah, and that's the thing. You know, I it's not as if I lost to a no mark. I lost to a 3-weight world champion, and you know, people, you know what it's like. Social media is, the problem with it is it gives, well, it can be, you know, positives and negatives. It just gives people, idiots a lot of time, a voice, and they can say what they want, and they hide behind a computer screen, and that's it. But look, you can't really pay too much attention to that. If you listen to everything that was going on in social media, and what people were saying, you would struggle to get out of bed in the morning. You just kind of brush it off and look past it, because you think about it and think about what I'm doing and what I've done compared to the person who's given the abuse. It doesn't really compare. So you just have to move on.
Why don't you call out one of your trolls and be like, hey, meet me here. Let's do one round of sparring, just one round, headgear and all. I bet you anything they'll be like, oh, I won't come.
No, that's the thing. They wouldn't do it, and I've seen that happen before. I think Deontay Wilder battered someone. When it's a bit different taking a beating off Deontay Wilder than taking one off me. So, look, I'm easy going. It doesn't annoy me too much, and to be honest, I get a bit of it, but I don't get too much of it. I'm well supported, and people. I kind of, if someone's giving me grief online, if I say something back, I have a good following that will get stuck into him and tell him how it is, really. So I don't have to say too much.
That's what I do. I actually just retweet something and just comment nicely, and I just let everyone else do it.
That's the way to do it, I think.
All right, so if you had to list the top 3 that you want, it doesn't have to be literally next, but who are the top 3 that you have on your list before you retire? Not saying you're retiring anytime soon, but you know what I'm saying.
Okay, yeah. I think, so we'll go from 3 to 1. I think it's a hard one, to be honest, because it's a hard one to give you 3 guys. I know one that I definitely want, and that's Leo Santa Cruz, because I think it makes sense. It's a huge fight. It's 1 each between us, and it just settles a score. And trilogies are always a big thing in boxing. So that he's the main guy that I want more than anyone. But I think a Valdez fight is very, very appealing to me as well. And then after that, probably Selby. So Selby 3, Valdez 2, Santa Cruz 1.
Santa Cruz announced that he now has his rematch against Abner Mares. Who do you think is going to win that fight?
I think Leo should win again. I think it's an easy fight. Mares is a good fighter, very good fighter, and someone who I, again, admire and respect, like I do with Leo as well. Two terrific fighters. I think it's a big fighter, but I think it's Leo Santa Cruz's fight to lose more than Mares to win. I think Leo should win that fight unless he comes in and he doesn't train for it and overlooks Mares because he's beaten him already. I don't think he'll do that because he's a complete professional. So I think Leo will come out on top. But I think it'll be a good fight.
Yeah, it's going to be a really good one. And then let's just go down your list then. What did you think of Oscar Valdez's fight against Scott Quigg? 'Cause that was one bloody war.
Yeah, it was a great fight, and I think he's a very, very good fighter. Very ferocious in how he fights, and I like him, and I like his style, and I can see that he's very attractive to like the casual boxing fan because of how he fights. But he had to change tactics against Quigg, and Quigg, in my eyes, he you know, he missed the weight. I don't know what's going on behind the scenes, but I believe he missed the weight purposely. And then he didn't do the second day weigh-in, which I kind of was like, you know, it's just sticking the fingers up to the people. He missed the weight by so much. He should have at least done a second day weigh-in. But when you look at his tactics in the fight, he was just trying to wear Valdez down from the start. So I think that was planned. I think he missed the weight purposely, and I think he didn't do the second day weigh-in because of the tactics he employed in the fight, and he wanted to overwhelm Valdez and use his size and strength. But Valdez stuck to a game plan, and Quigg had good spells at you know, in parts of the fight, and you have to give him a credit for the injury he had himself, and obviously Valdez with a broken jaw, but Quigg's nose is a bit of a mess, but I think Valdez won the fight comfortable. I really do, and you know, again, Quigg had good spells, but Valdez won the fight comfortable. If you look at the highlights, and the fight was on Sky, if you look at the Sky highlights without actually watching the full fight, you would think the fight was very, very competitive. I don't think it was that competitive. I think Oscar Valdez won convincingly.
So the size was not going to matter anyways.
No, well, I think it played a part, because I think if he had have made the weight and not hydrated and came in as heavy as he did on the night, I think it may have been an easier fight for Valdez. But look, things happen, and this is just my opinion. I'm not saying this is what happened, but I think that's what Quigg was doing.
And Selby Warrington, who do you think is going to win that fight?
Do you know what? I keep changing my mind, and I was thinking 6 months ago I was saying Selby easy. Then as you know, it's getting a bit closer to the fight, I started to think maybe Selby. He's a big featherweight. Maybe he's killing himself at the weight. The home crowd in Leeds. Maybe Warrington can do something, and it might be a tight fight. But now I'm starting to think if Selby is, I don't want to be disrespectful to Warrington, but if Selby's 80% of his best, I think he should win the fight comfortable. Selby's a nice boxer. You know, Warrington's a good fighter. I think he's limited enough, if I'm being completely honest. Straight up and down, but tough and gritty and fit. If Selby isn't dead at the weight, I think he wins the fight convincingly.
And since we're on, you know, predictions here, what do you think of Lomachenko moving up in weight to face Jorge Linares?
It's a great fight, but it's a fight where, and I don't want to say this sound disrespectful to Linares, because he's a terrific fighter and someone who I like as a fighter and as a fan, but I don't think Lomachenko will stop him. But I don't think Linares will win a round. I think it'll be very, very one-sided in Lomachenko's favour.
Not a round?
No, I don't think so. Maybe 1, 2 max, but I think it'll be a comfortable win for Lomachenko. Just like, I think there's too many fighters that are going to give Lomachenko a fight in and around these divisions. He's one of my favourite guys to watch at the minute. A completely unique style that no one else really has at this point in time. No one has ever had as in boxing. I've never seen another fighter fight like him. I think Lomachenko wins the fight by a landslide points margin.
There's now talks that obviously no fighter can overlook their opponent, the opponent that's in front of them. But Floyd Mayweather said that he wants to match up Gervonta Davis with Vasyl Lomachenko. What do you think of that?
I think, again, it's another big name, but I think it's a name, I think it's someone who Lomachenko plays with. I really do. And again, I don't want to sound disrespectful, because Gervonta Davis is a brilliant fighter, but Lomachenko is very, very special. And I think, I don't know, if that fight happened, Lomachenko and Davis, I think, I've called this one before, but it might be one where Davis quits. And I made a big prediction before and got it right when Josh Taylor beat O'Hara Davies. It says O'Hara Davies is going to quit. It's exactly what happened.
Hi fans, it's Michelle Joy Phelps. If you haven't already subscribed to our YouTube channel, make sure you do so by clicking this icon right here, or else